All right, so let's jump right in. We're tackling AI regulation today.
Yeah.
It's a hot topic.
Definitely.
And our listeners sent in a Cointelegraph article
All right.
about how the U.S. government is, well, kind of all over the place with its AI policy. Like, one minute it's all about setting strict rules,
Right.
and the next it's like, let the AI loose.
It's pretty wild to watch.
It is. It really is. It's like a ping pong match,
Yeah.
back and forth. Makes you wonder, what's the right move, you know?
It's not just a U.S. thing either. This whole AI regulation thing, it's global.
You're right. You're right.
Every country is trying to figure out how to handle it, how to balance the good with the potential downsides.
Yeah.
And they're all coming up with different answers.
Yeah, it's a lot to keep up with, for sure. So, okay, let's break it down.
Sure.
Late 2023, Biden comes out with this big executive order, lays out his framework for AI.
Yeah.
6 core pillars, he calls them, focused on stuff like making sure AI is safe, which, I mean, that makes sense, right?
Absolutely. It's like, think about a self-driving car.
Okay.
You wouldn't want one of those just cruising around without being tested, right?
No way.
Same goes for any AI, really.
Hmm.
Got to make sure it does what it's supposed to. Make sure it doesn't put people at risk.
Gotcha. So, testing is a big deal. What else? What else was Biden emphasizing?
Bias.
By his...
Big time. Specifically in those language models.
Ah, right. Those AI things that can basically talk, right?
Exactly. Chatbots, translation tools, all sorts of things. They're trained on tons of data, which is great. But here's the thing.
Oh.
If that data is biased, then guess what? The AI can become biased too.
Oh, I see what you mean. So, like, if it's trained on data that says, I don't know, doctors are always men or something.
Yeah, exactly. Then it might have trouble recognizing a female doctor, or it might give bad advice based on gender, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
It can get really messy really fast.
Yeah, no kidding. So Biden was trying to make sure AI wasn't used in discriminatory ways.
Absolutely. He wanted fairness to be built in from the ground up. It's not just about the tech itself, it's about how it's used.
Okay, I'm with you. Safety, fairness, got it. But then comes 2025, Trump is back.
Yeah.
And bam, executive order, gone, repealed it on day one.
It was a pretty strong statement.
It was. And then, at his inauguration,
Who's sitting front row?
Zuckerberg, Bezos, Pichai, all the tech giants.
It kind of tells you where things are headed, doesn't it? The Republican Party, they've been pushing for a much lighter touch when it comes to regulating AI.
So less government interference, more freedom for companies to innovate.
Yeah, you could say that.
Yeah.
Their argument is that too many rules will stifle innovation. They say the free market will sort things out on its own.
So it's like two totally different philosophies, right? One side saying, hey, we need some rules here, and the other saying, get out of the way and let progress happen.
Exactly. It's a classic debate, and there are valid points on both sides. Too much regulation can definitely stifle progress. But on the other hand, too little, well, that could lead to some pretty serious problems.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So we've got these two administrations, two totally different views. But even within each camp, it's not so simple, right?
Oh, absolutely not. This Cointelegraph article mentions Alondra Nelson from the Center for American Progress. And she is not happy about Trump repealing the order.
Yeah, she's pretty vocal about it.
Her argument is that leaving the public unprotected from potential AI risks,
quote, self-defeating for our country.
Yeah, exactly. She's worried about algorithmic bias, the spread of misinformation fueled by AI.
Job displacement, too. As AI systems get smarter and smarter, they could start taking over jobs that humans used to do.
That's a whole other can of worms.
It is. But then you've got someone like Alexander Nowrasteh from the Cato Institute. He's got a different take.
Oh.
He actually sees one positive outcome from the repeal.
Really?
Yeah. He thinks it can make it easier for skilled AI workers to immigrate to the U.S.
Oh, interesting. So even folks who are generally in favor of less regulation have different ideas about how to get there. Right. It's not as simple as just regulation or no regulation. There are so many nuances to consider.
So what's the right answer then?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not about finding one perfect solution. It's about finding the right balance, the approach that allows us to reap the benefits of AI while minimizing the risks.
It's tough, right? It feels like every decision has trade-offs. Like, do you prioritize innovation or protection? It's like choosing between two good things.
Exactly. And that's what makes this whole debate so fascinating, so important. And that's why we're here today, diving deep into it with our listener.
Absolutely. We're in this together, trying to make sense of this rapidly evolving world of AI. Speaking of evolution, there's another piece to this puzzle, right? Biden's attempt to restrict AI chip sales.
Oh, yeah. that was the big one.
He wanted to limit the sale of these powerful AI chips to just 18 U.S. allies. But that didn't exactly go over well with the tech industry, did it?
Not at all. They pushed back hard.
Yeah. I mean, these chips, they're essential for building advanced AI systems, restricting their sale. Well, that could really shake things up globally.
It's all about competition, right? The U.S. wants to stay ahead in the AI game.
Right.
But the tech industry argued that limiting access to these chips would actually stifle innovation. They said it would give an advantage to competitors like China, who are already investing heavily in their own AI chip development.
So Biden was trying to play defense, trying to protect U.S. dominance in the field. But could that strategy backfire? Could it actually push other countries to develop their own AI tech even faster?
That's the big question. It's tricky. You want to protect your interests, but you also don't want to accidentally accelerate the progress of your rivals. It's a delicate balance.
It's like a high-stakes game of chess, but the rules keep changing. You think you've got a strategy, and then bam, the whole board shifts.
That's a great way to put it. This whole AI landscape is constantly shifting. You've got to be adaptable, ready to adjust your strategy on the fly.
So we've got this internal battle over AI regulation playing out in the U.S.
Right.
And then it spills over onto the global stage with these chip restrictions. It's like a game within a game.
You got it. And understanding both levels of the game is crucial for anyone who wants to navigate this whole AI landscape, which is what we're trying to do here today, right?
Exactly. Our listener is already on the right track diving into this Cohen Telegraph article, and we're just getting started. Next time, we'll dig even deeper into the specific arguments for and against AI regulation, explore those different perspectives, and really try to unpack the potential consequences of each approach. So stay tuned.
Welcome back. Before we go any further, I was thinking about something we talked about earlier.
Okay.
Biden's emphasis on safety testing for AI, but what does that even look like?
It's a good question. It's definitely not as simple as, say, crash testing a car.
Right. You can't exactly smash a language model into a wall.
No, you can't. Testing for AI, especially for things like language models, it's a whole different ballgame.
So what do? Well, it involves a lot of simulations. Creating these controlled environments where you can test how the AI responds in different situations.
Okay.
Researchers might even introduce errors or biases on purpose, kind of like giving the AI a pop quiz to see if it can catch the mistake.
So it's less about physical safety and more about making sure the AI makes good decisions, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Especially when you're talking about AI that could have a real impact on people's lives, making decisions about loans or healthcare, things like that.
High stakes stuff.
Absolutely. Now, going back to the debate about regulation, it's interesting because even those who are generally against heavy regulation, they tend to agree that some oversight is probably a good idea.
So it's not really an all or nothing thing, is it?
It's all about finding that balance, the right level of oversight.
Right. Like maybe there are some areas where a hands-off approach makes sense, and then others where you need stricter rules.
Exactly. Take data privacy, for example. That was a big part of Biden's executive order. He wanted to make sure people's personal data is protected, even when it's used to train AI systems.
Yeah, that makes sense. Data privacy is already a huge issue. And then you throw AI into the mix, it feels like things could get out of control pretty quickly.
And you're right to be concerned. AI, it needs data, tons of it, to learn and to get better. But at the same time, people have a right to privacy.
So how do you find that middle ground? How do you allow AI to develop without letting it turn into some kind of big brother situation?
Well, there are a few different schools of thought. Some people think we need stricter regulations on how data is collected and used, like setting clear limits on what companies can and can't do.
Okay, I can see that.
But others think that focusing on transparency and accountability is a better approach.
So instead of trying to control the flow of data, which could slow down innovation, you just make sure everything is out in the open.
Exactly. You make sure companies are clear about how they're using the data and that they're held responsible if they misuse it.
Okay, that's interesting. Data privacy, it's definitely a biggie. What are some other arguments in favor of regulating AI?
Well, one of the big ones is preventing the development of harmful AI applications,
Okay, like what?
like autonomous weapons systems
Whoa.
or AI that could be used for mass surveillance. We're talking about technologies with the potential to cause some serious harm, especially if they fall into the wrong hands.
That's kind of scary.
It is. And the potential consequences are so serious that a lot of experts think regulation is the only way to prevent these worst-case scenarios.
So it's better to be safe than sorry.
Exactly. But of course, not everyone agrees. There are strong arguments against regulating AI, too.
Oh, right, right. What are they saying?
The most common argument is that regulation stifles innovation. It slows things down, creates unnecessary bureaucracy, and makes it harder for companies to compete on a global scale.
So basically, too many rules could hinder progress, right?
Exactly. They argue that the free market is much better at driving progress. Yeah.
I see. So less government interference, more freedom for companies to experiment and innovate.
Right. But of course, the flip side of that is that, well, without any guardrails, companies might prioritize profit over safety or ethics. It's a tough one.